Hello, everybody, and welcome to HMM Business Coaching. What we're going to be talking about today is the hows and whys of managing your LLC annual meetings. Now, I have to admit, firstly, this is a new section of my YouTube channel that is going to look after topics for LLCs. And it is also one of the most boring topics you can find anywhere. Most people believe that when they are sold their LLC, that all they need to do is to put their papers in a drawer somewhere, and if somebody asks for them, dust them off and show them to a bank or somebody else who wants to see them. But in fact, they really don't have to do anything. And quite frankly, if you are running a business, nothing could be farther from the truth. An LLC is an entity just like a corporation. In fact, your ownership in the LLC is actually like the shares in a corporation. These are securities, which is why you can't stand on a street corner and say, hey, come and invest in my LLC. I'll give you 20% for $20,000. You'll end up in jail. So our aim in having this section of the YouTube channel is so that you can get quick tips on things that you need to do to look after your LLC and also get help when you need it. Fair enough? Okay, so firstly, why am I talking about this? Well, many of you know from my business coaching that I built a 7-figure business before going into coaching full-time. And that business is now run by my husband. We spent 17 years and 20,000 clients working with people who needed LLCs and corporations and teaching them how not to blow up the entities that we set up for them. In fact, the coaching and the training was so near and dear to my heart that that's why I became a coach full time. But I don't want to abandon all of our clients in the LLC space. And so I'm doing a lot of these videos now to help people remember the things that they need to do in order to be professional business people. You know, the thing is about an LLC is that because people think that it's so easy to run, they forget the basics. And if you ever go to court, or you're audited by the IRS, you need to be able to show that you are the manager of your company, separate and distinct from you as the owner in many cases. If your LLC is manager managed, it becomes really important that you can show that you are running the company like a professional manager and documenting decisions and doing all the things that a professional manager would. Now, if your company is manager managed, that means that your ownership in the company gives you the right to manage that company, then you still want to look like you have a professional business. That's really important if you ever get audited and the IRS is trying to prove that you really have a hobby and not a business. Because if they can prove that you have a hobby, then there's a whole bunch of repercussions from that, including they may disallow some of the business expenses that you've claimed. You may find that you owe a whole lot more in tax plus penalties, and you don't want that. So let's just get into some of the simple things that you can do to protect yourself and show that you are a professional manager of a professional organization and keep it all neat, clean, and tidy. Okay, why am I doing annual meetings now? Well, if you look in your operating agreement, now that's the thick document that somebody probably gave you that has all the rules discussing how you agree to run your company. If you go into that document and you read it, then it may actually say that you have to have an annual meeting, and it may even tell you when that meeting needs to occur. Now, in the operating agreement that we provide, we say that an annual meeting is required, and it should be run within the first 5 months after the close of business for the LLC. Now, most LLCs close business on December 31st. So that would mean by the end of May, you should have your annual meeting all done and dusted. Well, we are on the 25th of May. So for those of you who didn't know anything about this or haven't got around to running your meeting yet, then there's a couple of things you can do. You can get together the people in your company and run your annual meeting, write up some minutes and stick it in your book. No problem. Or you can write a resolution delaying the meeting by a month or whatever for some reason. Now, what if you want to run your meeting? Well, the first thing is to look at how many are there of you who actually own the company, because you're going to run the owners are the people who are running the meeting. And so if it's just you, then you can do one of two things. You can either hold a meeting and do a waiver of notice, which says, hey, I knew I was supposed to notify all the owners that there was going to be a meeting and I didn't do that, but the meeting is still official anyway, and I'm letting you know that by signing this piece of paper and having the meeting run and then doing all the minutes. Or you can do what's called a written consent of meeting without a written consent without meeting. And so the written consent of actions without meeting really is just documenting the things that you did, and then you sign it as the sole owner and manager of the company, and you're done. If there's more than one of you, then you really do want to hold a meeting. And here's a quick tip to make this a little bit fun. Go to a restaurant. Now, the restaurant needs to be within the budget of a company of your size. So if you're barely making any money, please don't pick a 3-star French restaurant and have $1,000 bill, because it's just not going to work. The IRS is going to disallow it. But could you go to, a family Chinese place and maybe have, $10, $15 per person? Sure, you could do that. So choose a restaurant that's within the budget of the size of business that you have and hold your meeting there. And absolutely take notes. And then, of course, you're going to write off that meal within the guidelines that your CPA will give you for writing off meals within your company. Tax rules change all the time. So I'm not going to tell you what the rules are now, because by tomorrow they could have changed. But just ask your CPA how much you can write off, and he'll let you know. So make it fun. If there's more than one of you, go out somewhere. Even go to a coffee shop. Have a coffee and a slice of cake or something, and hold your meeting there. And then just make sure that you take notes, come back, write up your minutes, and you're good to go. It doesn't take all that long. And it could give you a chance to see someone else in the company that you haven't seen for a while. If you own the company with somebody who doesn't live in the same city as you, it's a good chance to kind of get together. Okay, so now what do you put in this meeting? All right, first thing is you want to take a look at whether or not you are member managed or manager managed. Because if you are manager managed, you then want to look in your operating agreement to see whether or not you have to vote annually for the manager of your company, or if your manager was appointed and can't be removed except in cases of fraud. So take a look at your operating agreement. It will tell you. And if it tells you that you get to elect your managers every year, then that's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to set up the meeting, who's going to be the chairperson, who's going to be the secretary, who's going to be the treasurer, etc. in the meeting. And then you're going to start your meeting, and you're going to elect the managers for your meeting. And it may be that if you've got 2 people that own the LLC, you can elect both of you as managers if that's what you want. Or if one of you is basically a silent partner, excuse me, and is really only investing to get a return, then the other person may be the only manager that's elected. But electing the managers to take the business forward for the next year is important. You also then want to state whether or not your taxes have been filed. So you can state whether or not you filed an extension or the taxes have been submitted, and the CPA that dealt with that process. Okay. Next, you want to document all of the important legal, tax, and financial decisions that you made during the year. Now, in actual fact, if you're running the business like a real business, the manager should have documented those decisions in the form of written consents. And then all you need to do is to ratify and approve everything that the managers did, and you're done. But if you didn't do that, and let's face it, most LLC managers don't do that, well, then it's time to list everything that you did, all the important legal, tax, and financial decisions that you took, and then to approve all of those decisions. And then basically you're done. there's not, unless there's something extraordinary that you need to vote on that wasn't covered previously, that you've been saving for this meeting, then you're done. If there is anything else that you need to vote on, then that voting takes place at this point, and you're going to document the results, and then you close the meeting and you're done. Okay, now, if you are paperwork averse, if you are really, really busy and you don't have time for this stuff, then I have a couple of things that might help you. The first is a package of templates and instructions, which will speed up the process of writing your minutes. And we can certainly sell you that package. It is very comprehensive, and you can phone up and ask questions if you need a resolution and you can't find it anywhere in the package. No problem. If you would like to have your annual minutes written for you, then we could do that as well. As I said, we've dealt with 20,000 clients over 17 years, and we know how to do this. So we can certainly do that for you. So how do you pick an option? Well, that's totally up to you, and it depends upon how much you want to get involved in the administration of your business and how much time you actually have. And that usually comes hand in hand with what your plans are for scaling and how big your company is. So I'm not going to give you a couple of links to go buy anything, because frankly, I want to get to know you a little bit better. I want to see what it is that you truly need, how you're doing, what's going on. And then we can make a decision as to what makes sense for you. So just get in touch with me, Wendy at hmmbusinessstrategies.com, and I'll send you a Calendly link to choose a time when we can chat. You can tell me what's going on with your business, what it is that you need, and we'll figure out a way to help you out. Okay, that's it for this version of boring stuff for LLCs. And I will see you next time. Take care, everyone.